So in this video, guys, I'm going to share with you guys why I think it takes some people a little longer to start buying Bitcoin, even though, they understand that people are buying Bitcoin. They know that it's going up. They see the value going up all the time, but yet they still don't buy. And I want to share with you guys from my personal opinion of why I think that it takes some people, whether it's Gen Xer, older generation, or younger people, a little longer to understand Bitcoin. And I'm going to base these opinions based on my opinion as well as what I see my family members say as well too. So hey guys, if you are new here, my name is Susan Velez, and on this channel we talk about making money, saving money, investing money, and taking care of our health so that we can retire with dignity. So if you are new to this channel, guys, you know that I am late to saving and investing for retirement. So I'm doing everything that I possibly can to reach a net worth of $500,000 so that I can retire with dignity. Now, I know $500,000 isn't a lot, especially when you live in the United States, but it's better than retiring with nothing, which is what I would have if I hadn't started saving aggressively. So let's get into this, guys. Let's talk about why it takes some Gen Xers or older generation people, or even older people, a little longer to start saving and buying Bitcoin. So now I know this isn't the case for everybody, guys, because when I create Bitcoin videos, I see people who are older than me and smarter than me that have been buying Bitcoin for 5+ years. So I can't say everybody that is older or my age. We all know that, everybody jumps into Bitcoin when they're ready. But I think this is the main reason that it takes some people a little longer. And this is what I can say based on my opinion, and then things that I see from my family members and friends who are not buying Bitcoin as well too. So the first thing is, I think that the main reason that people don't buy it is because Bitcoin is all about self-custody. So if you're a Gen Xer or older, guys, we know that we didn't grow up in the age of the internet like the younger people. We didn't have access to social media. We didn't really do anything with computers. And if you're like me, guys, I didn't even get a computer until I was in my 20s. And I think it was my mid 20s that I finally got my first computer. Now, I did have a computer class in school, but I don't even remember what we did on the computer. So it was nothing really technical. So the whole aspect of learning how to self-custody your own Bitcoin, buying it on an exchange, moving it from the exchange to a hot wallet and cold storage, that can be a little confusing, and it can be scary, guys, especially when you read all these headlines about people losing their Bitcoin because they put in the wrong address or they messed up the address. So if you don't have any computer skills and maybe you just use your computer for playing games or, reading headlines or just simple stuff like that, the whole thought of moving your Bitcoin off of an exchange to a cold wallet or a hot wallet, then it can be a little nerve-wracking, because right now, guys, the way the system is set up for people is you either put your money in a bank and it's FDIC insured by the government up to $250,000, makes you feel good. You can sleep at night. And most people who have a job will invest in something like the S&P 500 or some type of investment that's safe. And so it makes it easy and not have to worry about self-custody. You don't have to worry about seed phrases. You don't have to do anything. You just put the money in there and that's it. So going from that system to Bitcoin can be a little nerve-wracking. I mean, if it wasn't for the fact that I have had an online business for several years and I built websites and dealt with FTP, which is file transfer protocol, meaning that I went into websites, files, messed around with those. So I learned some technical aspects of how to use a computer. So moving something off of an exchange onto a cold wallet really wasn't a huge deal for me. Now, maintaining and keeping those seed phrases safe, that was something new to me. And that is a little scary as well, too, because if you lose those seed phrases, then you lose your Bitcoin. So I understand why some people are hesitant to make the move from the traditional, just put the money in the bank, put the money in the S&P 500, and don't worry about buying digital currency. So I think that that's one of the main reasons that people are hesitant to move from the main system of doing something different like buying Bitcoin. The number two reason that I think that people are hesitant, at least from what I see, guys, is they don't believe in digital currency. I know when I first started hearing digital currency, I didn't believe it. I mean, I heard about Bitcoin several years ago, and I thought that, you know, people were just, I thought it was just a hoax. I didn't think anything about it. And so I never ever did any research about it. And it wasn't until recently that I started learning about digital currency. And there's countries that are already using digital currency. So when you see it, or when you first hear about digital currency, you think of something that you see on a movie. You don't think that we will ever go from the fiat system that we have right now to a digital currency. And I don't know if that will ever replace, the fiat system. I don't know if Bitcoin would ever become a digital currency. Right now, it is just a store of value. I don't know if we'd ever use it as currency, but I do believe that there could be other altcoins, or it's not far-fetched to believe that eventually the United States would go to a digital currency. I don't know if it would ever replace the fiat system that we have, but I do believe now that there is a possibility that we do something digital. I mean, we do everything online, guys. If you buy stuff, you go to Amazon, you buy. I mean, there's a lot of things that can be done online. So it's not far-fetched to believe that we could go to a digital currency. And I don't know if it would ever happen in my lifetime, but I do believe that it is a possibility now. Whereas in the past, I used to think that it was just something that you'd see on a movie. I'd never thought that we would ever go to a digital currency. And so I think that's another reason that people are hesitant to jump into Bitcoin or hesitant to buy, because they don't understand it. They don't see the digital currency being a reality. And then, of course, number three is, guys, that people don't understand economics. I mean, it's not something that's taught in school, but when you really start getting into Bitcoin, I don't know about you guys, but I'm listening to all kinds of economic podcasts, reading books. I mean, just really delving into it. And when you start really getting into the economics and how it works, you start realizing that whenever they print money, it just devalues your money. And I don't know why I didn't read economic books back in the past, but they're not the most interesting books. But if you really want to learn about money, you have to learn about economics. You have to learn what the Fed is doing, how it's hurting the average person, and why the average person is having such a hard time getting ahead, even though they're working so much. And the only way out of this, guys, is to actually invest and buy assets. And Bitcoin is one of those assets that's going to help you preserve the value of your money and help you beat inflation. So, I think a lot of it has to do with understanding economics. And most people, myself included, have either not taken the time to understand economics, how it works, and they just, don't care. I mean, most people are hardworking. They go to work, they're raising a family. They don't have time to learn this stuff. And that's why it's so important to understand economics, to take the time to learn it, because if you don't understand economics, you're not going to understand how the Fed is hurting you. And then the final reason, guys, that I think that most people, especially Gen Xers or the older generation or anybody, doesn't invest or buy Bitcoin is because they don't have the money. So we all know life is tough, man. I don't care what anybody says. If you're working a job, chances are you're making just enough to make ends meet. You're paying your mortgage, you're paying your rent, you're buying food, you're supporting a family. Either way, it's tough. So to come up with some extra money to buy Bitcoin can be challenging. And then when people see the price of Bitcoin, that it's over 100,000, I think I woke up this morning and I saw it was $118,000 for one coin. Most people believe that it's too late. Myself included, guys. When I jumped in 3 months ago, it was $95,000 a coin. And I thought, man, I'm just way too late. Because, when you look at the price of a coin and you're throwing in maybe $100, even $1,000 if you're throwing in $1,000, you're thinking, that's not going to buy me much. I mean, I can't even afford a whole coin. I'll never be able to afford a whole coin. But the truth is, guys, you can just dollar cost average in on a regular basis. It doesn't matter how much you have or you're throwing in there. If you're buying Satoshis, you're doing it the right way. Most people aren't going to be able to afford a whole coin. I mean, if you were able to afford a whole coin, you had to have gotten in years ago. And, you know, hindsight's 2020, but there's nothing you can do about that now. All you can do is move forward, dollar cost average what you can afford, and just continue buying. And, you know, even if you don't end up with a whole coin, you're going to be better off than just sitting on zero. So anyway, guys, I just wanted to tell you why I think that most people don't buy, whether it's a Gen X, millennial, whatever. I just think that it boils down to these four reasons. And until you educate yourself on economics, you understand digital currency, you really just learn about these things that I talked about. I think that it's going to be really hesitant. I think people are going to be hesitant to buy because, you know, it's the fear of the unknown. We all, you know, we're all creatures of habit. Whenever you do something different, it takes courage to jump out of the normal and buy something that, you know, you really don't know. You might have heard of Bitcoin on the news, you might have read articles, but you're not in it. So you don't really care. But once you get in it, then it's the fear of the unknown. We're taught to put our money in the bank. We're taught to buy the S&P 500. We're taught to buy assets that are somewhat safe. And Bitcoin, even though it's been around for a while, it's still the unknown. So I think those are the main reasons that people, myself included, have taken so long to get in on the Bitcoin journey. But anyway, if you have any other reasons why you think that people are so hesitant to buy, let me know down in the comments below, guys, because like I said, I've told my family that I'm buying. I would like for them to start buying, but they haven't shown any interest in buying. And I don't know what I can do to try to get them to buy, even if it's just, you know, $1,000 worth of Bitcoin that they bought and held on to. There's nothing that I can say or do to get them to buy. And if you guys have family members that they know you're buying, but they're not buying, and you changed their mind, you got them to start buying, what did you do? What did you say? Let me know down in the comments below, guys, because I think after learning about all this stuff, I think it's so important for everybody to have some Bitcoin in their retirement portfolio, especially if you're late to saving for retirement. And even if you're not late to saving for retirement, I don't think that you should sit on the sidelines and neglect Bitcoin altogether. So anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. Click on that subscribe button so that you can be notified whenever I put out a new video. And until next time, guys, I will talk to you later. Have a great day. I'll talk to you later. Have a great day. Bye.